Okay, new beginnings. Yes, I completely own it. That was my suggestion. Throwing it in there. And I kind of inspired a little by a whole, what time of year it is, and that's great. There's a whole lot of
New
newness
new
that
year,
seems,
new you. One of those.
yeah, kind of, but not. Um, so slightly inspired by that. But what I've been finding, this is all a bit retrospective, right? Because I have, I have to
Do you want to take a
premise
breath?
this.
You want to take a
I have to
breath?
premise this.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to. Okay. So I tend to worry a lot. If I haven't shared that before, that's the thing. I worry a lot, and I seem to be worrying more, but sort of in the background. And I noticed that I was doing that because I was looking for reassurance outside of myself. So I kept
Mm.
saying to Rance, "Oh, will that be okay? I think it'll be okay." And so retrospectively, obviously I'm worrying more than I usually do. So I wanted to have a look at, well, what is it that I'm worrying about? And it seems to be all these new things. So I thought I would share what the new things are
What the new worries are?
so that I might be able to, I don't know, find some way, just by talking about it, allowing some, I don't know, subtle strategies to let go and just let it be. Okay. So interestingly, there's a few areas of newness. So I don't mind sharing this one, but this is a bit more personal than usual. I'm having a surgery next week,
I can close my eyes.
which should be helpful for my body. It is related to menopause, so that's happening. Now, what's interesting with that particular surgery is that it's with my obstetrician who delivered my daughter 25 years ago.
Okay.
So I've got this reassurance about the surgeon, and yet I'm still secretly worried because it's surgery. And yet, I also know that it'll allow my body to kind of have a beginning, right? Like I can kind of help it get to an end of something and then we can have a new beginning.
Hmm.
But I'm worried about the middle bit of the transition between the old and the new. So that's
What's
one thing.
Do you want to dive into that or do you want to go into other worry thingies?
No, I thought I'd want to, thought I'd share some of the other new beginnings because they're slightly different versions, but that one's my most pressing one right now. But I know there's a big part of me that goes, that's a really good thing to be doing. I've also decided to put my hand up and nominate myself to be on a board for an association that I've been part of for many years now. And so that's all new too. Oh, sure. It's like applying for a new position. I've actually had to put in an application. Quite bizarre, really. Um, I haven't applied for a position for over 15 years. So, it's a bit,
Did you get it? Are you on the board?
don't know.
Oh,
I
so
don't,
you're in the application process.
yes, see,
Okay.
there's another one of this middle piece. I'm like in the middle of a new beginning. Like, um, I am also, um, part of that association. I'm also volunteering on a separate level to do Speakers Academy. Great. Well, what that is supporting people who are aspiring to be professional speakers and volunteering my time to help them achieve that goal. I've been working on this with a team of, there's four of us, for like 2.5 years. So it's not like it's like, oh, this is new, as in I've never done this before, but I've never done the actually supporting people in professional speaking. That's the new thing. And that kicks in this year.
Okay.
So that we've been doing all the development of it behind the scenes, and this year it's go live. So that feels like, well, I've not done this before. I don't know what that's going to look like. Um, and of course, we're continuing to do the new things in the house. So we're enjoying some of the renovations that we've already achieved, but that's still ongoing. And it's the disruption that is created in the creating of the new that seems to be the challenge for me at the moment, even though in every single one of these examples, from surgery to being more heavily involved in the organization, in the association for PSA, providing coaching services essentially for speakers and renovations, I've done a version of all those 4 things before.
Yeah.
And it worked out just fine. But
Are you
this
going to get
feels
to the answer
completely
before
new.
I have to get to ask any questions? Is that?
No, no.
It sounds like
I'm just giving
you're
you,
already mapping something out here.
well, if you can tell me that, that'd be great. So that's where I'm at. I feel like there's these new things, even though I've done them before, I'm really apprehensive about stepping in.
And why do you think that is?
Well, there's this uncertainty of um, um, whether I'll be okay.
You said that out loud. How did it how did it feel
Sounds
when you
so weird to
heard it?
say it. It sounds weird because I know I'll be okay, right? So there's 2 parts of me that are having the conversation. One going, oh, I don't know if you can deal with this. And then the other one going, ah, you're fine. You've done this before. It's all good.
But have you heard yourself say these things?
I have, and I still can't reconcile them.
Because sometimes, like when you said it to me just now, you were like, "Yeah, that's bullshit. I know it's bullshit."
Yep.
But when you say it to yourself in your own head, oftentimes it's not loud enough for you to recognize it as garbage.
Correct. Yes. 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 Which is why I thought a conversation about what we go through when we've got these new beginnings, I thought would maybe be helpful.
And I wanted to dive into each one of them and ask you what the through line was, the theme between all 3. And then I was going to tell you what it was, even if you didn't get it yourself. I was good to go.
Did I ruin that for you?
No, it's fine. I'm okay with it. What I did recognize, though, and I'm going to say it anyways, was it's the middle bit. It's the uncertainty. It's the unknown part. And I just thought it was interesting that it was the middle bit that you were concerned about because you don't know what they look like. You don't know what the surgery, how that's going to go, and what that's going to be like necessarily for this aspect of life. Um, the fact that you're applying for something, you haven't done this for a long time, so it's been a while. So now you're in that in between. I don't know what's going to happen, and then you've got the speaker thing. I'm kind of calling BS before you even get there, and then there's the house, which is kind of like your confirmation that I don't like the uncomfortable middle bit.
Yes.
And these are all middle bits that it's like you project into them. I'm worried about that because I don't like how the middle bit feels.
Correct. It doesn't feel settled. It doesn't feel there's no rhythm in it yet. I'm always looking for a rhythm. Um and, and there's this so what else is interesting is that there are 2 really stable things in my life that I should be able to rely on, which I want to bring forward, because if I get to articulate it might get louder in my own head. One is that my immediate family relationships are absolutely spot on at the moment. So the stability with friends and with Angel is great. And my business is completely on track. Not even a whisper of anything going off the rails there. So I've got these 2 really reliable, very strong components in my life, and I'm adding in these extras. And yet I'm not turning to those things to go, see, that's okay. I've got stability. I'm focusing on the instability areas, the unstable areas. And it seems to be affecting me behind the scenes. And it's which I know then starts to affect other things. And I shared just before we put this on live that even I'm retreating a little, even with the person I should not be retreating most from, which is my husband. He comes home from work, how's your day? And I don't have much to tell him because I can feel myself kind of going back into my own four walls and not being able to have much to give because I'm giving so much energy to worry.
So,
And the question is, does this serve me?
well, we know the answer to that one. So I know you've been through similar things before. It may not be these three things, but you've been through uncertainty in the past. So I'll often ask people to dig into, when was the last time you felt uncertain and then turned out okay? So can you think of another time where something new and something you were uncomfortable with or didn't know how it was going to turn out and then turned out okay? What could you learn or dig out from that?
One of the things that jumps out of me that's separate to any of those examples is getting on a plane on my own and flying to a foreign country and not knowing what was going to happen as I stepped off the plane, because I was told I was going to be met by someone there and they would take me through all of the customs and get my luggage, but I didn't know for certain. And yet all of that happened perfectly. Someone was there to pick me up at the gate. They walked me through the entire process. It was all okay. But that's a pretty big one for me, getting on a plane on my own and arriving in a foreign country. To the
So
point that prior to that, I've made sure that I've had a travel buddy.
so what happened from to get you through the worry part to the end, everything was okay part, where everybody did what they said they were going to do and whatever?
Over preparation, ensuring that I had everything that I needed so that I was prepared for worst case scenario,
Okay.
which again, I'm not sure really serves me to always be prepared for worst case scenario. It does tend to comfort, but I'm not sure. I'm no longer convinced that that's the only strategy to use.
Well, maybe I'm getting to know you pretty well, and I know you like to plan stuff, but I wonder if there's a middle ground between hyper vigilant, over prepared Chris and what are the couple things I need to keep me or make me feel safe enough to trust the rest of it?
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. It can be, I think the challenge that I'm recognizing is that I default to the over planning and forget to find a softer way of doing that, like you just suggested, because the default is pretty strong.
Right. It's like overcorrecting in both directions. So if you do nothing, you're going to be freaked out because you didn't do any preparation. And as soon as you get off the plane, you're going to get kidnapped or something. I don't know. Right.
Yep.
Versus, I need to know, like, have some emergency contact numbers and a hotel or the taxi number or something so that I know where I can go, where I can be safe, and how I can get to my destination, whatever. Right. Without, I don't know what the over-prepared version of this story looks like.
That's right. So, and what's interesting is that I think what I'm actually doing is I am not over preparing. So I haven't played out worst case scenarios, let's say for the surgery. Renz is taking me. If I'm allowing myself with ease to voice my concerns whenever they appear at the top of my head. And but I'm not putting, so I'm articulating the emotion. I go, oh, I'm feeling a bit uncertain about this, but I'm then not doing anything other than just saying how I'm feeling. And trying really hard, and it's a try hard, it really is, to focus on, I've been through this before and I was okay. And many other people have been through this before and it's okay.
It's the unknown thing is really tricky for a lot of us. But is there something that you need to know that would give you some peace?
For the surgery, I'm not sure that there is. For I think the only thing that can play out here is time, right? So if I think about it, I'm now being really trying to be separate from my own concerns here. Being the observer. I mean, by the time I get to this time next week, that surgery will be done. So the only thing that can really reassure me is just knowing that I'll get to next Friday. That this too shall pass. For the being on the board and applying for a position and waiting for when someone subjectively decides whether I'm appropriate for that position or not. Really, I'm not going to know until they tell me. So that again is time. I just have to wait for the timing for it to unfold. I'm much better at letting go of that need to control those outcomes, but it hasn't stopped the worry about it.
For that one in particular, though, what's the worst thing that happens?
They say no, and I have more free time.
It sounds like such a horrible outcome. I can't believe that's on your list.
I know, it's ridiculous. But what's the worry in that one would be letting people down that that asked me to apply, which I did. So I'm not letting them down either because
That's interesting.
yeah.
That by applying, people might think less of you because you didn't get it, or you let them
Yeah.
down because somebody else had an opinion that didn't
Yeah.
align with. Do you hear the absurdity?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, great.
But I don't think I'm on my own with this either. Please, someone tell me I'm not on my own with this.
I'm sure we'll have a few people who will say, ah, me.
The complexities in my head is ridiculous. Yeah, so I think that I mean, the other strategy that I've been working towards, I don't know if I've completely done it yet, but I've been working towards it, is focusing on what I can do. I don't know how much satisfaction it's giving me at the minute, but I'm working towards it. So because I like to plan, I have planned out my next, was it 5 days, 6 days, or whatever it is, leading into when I need to take the time off surgery. And I've tried to make it so that it's got a few gaps in there and that I'm not under too much pressure and that there's good flow, and I'm reorganizing my calendar so that actually happens. So if I've got to get a bit of a gap and I can get some administration done, I've moved that, and sort of continually massaging that so that the closer I get to the surgery, it feels a little freer. So I'm applying that, but I'm still pulling on that planning strategy because it is a bit of a comfort.
That's your default, right? So what was coming to mind before you even said any of that, I have this kind of picture in my head of a donut. So you've got the hole in the middle, and then you've got like the outside. So the hole in the middle is what you're in control of. So you can write down all the things that you're in control of, what you can do, who you can reach out to for support, what you need from them, like all the things that you can act on. right? Balancing yourself, doing meditations, whatever it is, all the things that you need to do for self-care to get you ready for any of these things. And then in the circle outside of that is what am I not in control of? And just being able to voice or write down all the things that you can't control. You can't control the schedule at the hospital and if you get bumped. You can't control the whatever, the weather on the day that you have to get to the hospital. Like there's a bunch of things that you may be worried about that are out of your control, but you can't do anything about those. They're literally not. If you're driving the truck, there's only a certain amount of controls you have in the truck. You have the wheel, you have the brake and the gas, and you can't control the car next to you doing whatever the frig they're doing with their stuff, right? So you have to just trust in what you've got at your disposal and use those as your guide and hope everybody else is doing, their thing.
Their thing and their best, and they're bringing their best self for the day.
Hope your doctor has good equipment.
Well, I made sure I'm going private. I've had the surgeon do stuff on me before. Yeah, it should be good.
They're familiar with the equipment.
He's had a few, 30 years experience or something, so he should be good.
Yeah, so there has to be some acknowledgement that you're in good hands, that the people that you're trusting your body with know what they're doing, and you've had some experience with them before. So
Yeah,
I'm hoping
that is reassuring. And I think that the other reason that this has sort of been highlighted a little bit for me is that I did the classic, what is my word for 2024? What is my intention
right.
for 2024? It was the word trust, which I chuckle at because obviously I need a little bit of practice on that so that I can trust the things, like you said, that I don't have direct control of.
In any of these situations, are there people that you need to reach out to?
No, because I believe that I have done all the things that I can do. Just need to let them have a chance to do what they need to do
So
and trust
your
it.
donut's kind of empty. Like there's not a lot in there right now. Just space.
There is just space. Yeah, that's the that I find probably out of everything the most challenging is when I can't do anything more than I've already done.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Um, yeah. Yeah.
Like you've done speeches in the past. You're a speaker. You do this stuff, right? So
Yeah.
you have a sense of when you've prepared as much as you can prepare. What's different between that and this?
That's a great question. And there is a lot more, there feels like a lot more control when I'm preparing a speech and when I'm presenting the speech because it relies on me, where I am relying on others for the outcome.
But you're in the donut. You've done all you can do. Your list of tasks are different, but you still have to trust that it's going to work out and that you've prepared as best you can for your part of the task.
Of the task, yes. And I think it just feels different when I'm doing, when I'm preparing a workshop or I'm presenting a workshop. As you well know, there's a lot more, I guess there's a lot more tasks that you have control of. And there's a bit of wiggle room for the audience to either adopt it in or not adopt it in, and that's okay. And there's sort of that flexibility. It's not relying on an outcome other than I've prepared all of this and I'm the one that's primarily creating the outcome.
But again, you have no control over what they take or don't take or how they absorb it or not. So it could be a
Correct.
flop for them, and that's not your fault, and it's okay for them too. It's just you can only
And
prepare
I think that's
yourself.
part of what's going on with the speakers side of it, is that I'm not sure what this group, because I've not met the people yet. So even though we're launching this year and we've got some registrations, I haven't met those individuals yet. So until I do, won't have a gauge of where they'll be, where they're at in their speaking career, what they're willing to take on, all of those things. But you're right, I can only do the best that I can do, and they'll do what they're going to do.
And for them, if some of them are beginners and some of them are experts and some people are in between, how you going to manage that?
Luckily, it's not just me on the group. It's, 4 of us that are
You're not
stepping in to
alone.
be it.
You're not
Not
alone.
alone. Thanks for highlighting that, Ian.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing, but isn't it interesting how we get caught up in our heads?
So yeah, I think of all the things, the places to start is to at least get out of your head. Whether it's
Yeah.
at first, at least in a journal or something
I
like that.
really like that suggestion of the writing down what it is I can control and what I can't, because I can think through that, but that's not as powerful.
But getting it out of your head. If you're going to write it, great. If you need to speak with somebody, amazing. Try to pick somebody who's not super judgmental so that they can hear you, right? You can get all the information out of your head. Because just hearing it sometimes, like you experienced in the first couple of minutes, was like, yeah, that's BS. Yeah, I know that. Yeah,
Written all over my face. Yep.
yeah. When you laugh when you say your own joke, I don't know, it's pretty telling.
Yep. Totally. Awesome. Looks like I've got some homework to do.
That's a hell of a new beginning. Beginnings. You got lots of new beginnings.
Do. And I mean, there's a part of me that is, I don't even know if I could say excited. I'm anticipating with some positiveness about the outcomes of those things, but it feels that it's still in that limbo stage.
And maybe that's something also that can be added to the framework, right? So getting out of your head, writing things down, um, seeing what you can control and not control, but also what what could the outcomes be? What could the positive outcomes be? Um, for any of these situations, whatever Chris's situations or whatever you're dealing with at home, what could this bring? What what uh, what will this end in my life, and what new could come to it?
Yeah.
And then if you can start feeling more positive about the unknown part of it, maybe you can get excited about the possibilities, opposed to worrying about, what's what's the worst thing that could happen.
Yeah.
Because no matter what situation I've been through, rarely has it been the worst thing.
Ever.
Ever. Ever.
Ever.
Might have felt kind of crappy at the time, but was it really that bad? Yeah. No. Rarely is it even close to what our brain imagines things to turn out to be like.
Yeah, there we go. Get excited about my new beginnings.